Tonight, as you rest, let your heart grow quiet in one of the most peaceful and powerful Bible stories ever told, the story of Joseph. This is a Bible story for sleep, for healing, and for anyone who has ever wondered why God allows seasons of waiting, pain, and uncertainty. It is a story of dreams, betrayal, loneliness, forgiveness, and the quiet faithfulness of God's perfect plan. So take a slow breath, let the noise of the day begin to fade, and as this peaceful Bible story unfolds, may your mind become still, your heart become calm, and your soul remember that God is near, even in the darkest places. Long ago, in the land of Canaan, there lived a young man named Joseph. He was the beloved son of Jacob, deeply cherished by his father. Jacob loved Joseph with a tender and special affection, and because of that love, he gave Joseph a beautiful robe. To Joseph, the robe was a gift. It was a sign of his father's care. But to his brothers, it became a painful reminder that Joseph was favored. What brought joy to Joseph slowly brought bitterness into their hearts. His brothers watched him. They saw the love he received. They saw the robe he wore. And little by little, envy began to grow. At first, it may have been quiet. But envy, when left unhealed, can become resentment. And resentment, when allowed to live too long, can harden the heart. Then Joseph began to speak of dreams. These were not ordinary dreams. In one dream, he saw sheaves of grain in a field, and the sheaves of his brothers bowed down before his own. In another dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowing before him. To Joseph, these dreams were mysterious. Perhaps he did not fully understand what they meant. But to his brothers, the dreams felt unbearable. They heard his words and felt as though Joseph was saying he would one day be greater than them. Their jealousy grew stronger. Their anger became deeper. And one day, when Jacob sent Joseph to check on his brothers in the fields, Joseph walked toward them in innocence, not knowing that danger was waiting ahead. From a distance, his brothers saw him coming. They recognized the robe, they recognized the brother they envied, and in their anger, they made a cruel plan. When Joseph reached them, they stripped away his robe, the very gift that had once marked his father's love. Then they threw him into a dry and empty pit. There, in the silence of the pit, Joseph must have felt afraid. He must have felt confused. He must have wondered how the people closest to him could turn against him so suddenly. Sometimes life can feel like that pit, a place where nothing makes sense, a place where the light feels far away, a place where the heart asks, God, are you still with me? But even there, God had not left Joseph. The pit was dark, but it was not the end of his story. The betrayal was real, but it was not stronger than God's purpose. Joseph could not see the full plan, but God was already working in ways Joseph did not yet understand. Soon, traveling merchants passed by, and Joseph was sold as a slave to Egypt. The road ahead was painful. Joseph was taken far from his father, far from his home, and far from the life he once knew. But what his brothers meant for evil, God would one day turn toward good. In Egypt, Joseph was taken into the house of Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. He arrived not as a son, not as a dreamer wearing a beautiful robe, but as a servant in a foreign land. Yet even after losing so much, Joseph did not lose his faithfulness. He worked with integrity. He served with humility. He did what was right, even when life had treated him unfairly. And the Lord was with Joseph. Because God was with him, Joseph prospered even in a place he never chose. Potiphar saw that Joseph was trustworthy, and he placed much in his care. Joseph's life seemed to be rising again. Hope seemed to return. But once more, Joseph's path turned through pain. He was falsely accused, even though he had done what was right. He was misunderstood. He was punished for something he did not do. And once again, he was taken away, this time into prison. Another dark place. Another season he did not choose. Another moment where life seemed unfair. But Joseph did not become bitter. Even in prison, he remained faithful. He served others. He listened. He helped. He carried wisdom quietly, even while his own life felt delayed. God gave Joseph the ability to interpret dreams. In prison, Joseph interpreted the dreams of others. And in time, one of those men would remember him. Years passed. Then Pharaoh, the ruler of Egypt, was troubled by dreams no one could explain. The wise men of Egypt had no answer. The meaning remained hidden. At last, Joseph was remembered. He was called out of prison and brought before Pharaoh. Imagine that moment. Joseph, once thrown into a pit, once sold as a slave, once forgotten in prison, now standing before the most powerful ruler in Egypt. But Joseph did not boast. He did not claim the wisdom as his own. With humility, he said that the interpretation belonged to God. Joseph explained that Egypt would have 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. He told Pharaoh to prepare wisely, to store grain during the years of plenty so that many lives could be saved during the years of hunger. Pharaoh recognized the wisdom God had given Joseph, and in a single day, Joseph's life changed. The prisoner became a ruler. The forgotten man became a leader. The young dreamer who had once been thrown into a pit was now chosen to preserve many lives. But God's plan was not finished. When famine spread across the land, Joseph's brothers came to Egypt searching for food. They were weary. They were hungry. They bowed before Joseph, not knowing who he was. And in that moment, Joseph saw the dream of his youth fulfilled. Years earlier, he had seen his brothers bowing in a dream. Now it was happening before his eyes. But Joseph did not choose revenge. He chose mercy. He could have punished them. He could have reminded them of the pit, the pain, the years of loss. But Joseph had learned something deeper through suffering. He had learned that God was working even when people were wrong. He had learned that pain does not have to poison the heart. He had learned that forgiveness is stronger than bitterness. Then Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. Their hearts were shaken with fear. They remembered what they had done. They knew they did not deserve kindness. But Joseph spoke words that still bring comfort to weary hearts today. "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." In those words, Joseph revealed a deep mystery of faith. What wounded him did not define him. What delayed him did not destroy him. What others used to harm him, God used to prepare him. The pit did not stop God's plan. The prison did not stop God's plan. The betrayal did not stop God's plan. Every painful chapter was being woven into a purpose Joseph could not see at the time. And perhaps tonight, some part of your life also feels unfinished. Maybe there is a question you cannot answer. Maybe there is a season you did not choose. Maybe there is a place in your heart that still feels like a pit, quiet, lonely, and hard to understand. If so, remember Joseph. God was present in the pit. God was present in the prison. God was present in the waiting. And God was present when the dream finally became clear. The same God who guided Joseph is still faithful. He is near in the night. He is near in uncertainty. He is near when the road feels longer than you expected. So as this peaceful Bible story comes to an end, let your heart rest in this truth. Your painful season is not beyond God's reach. Your delay is not wasted. Your tears are not unseen. And your story is not over. May the peace of God cover your mind tonight. May His presence quiet your thoughts. May His word bring healing to your heart. And may you rest in the gentle assurance that God is still working. Even when you cannot see the whole plan. The pit is not the end. The prison is not the end. The pain is not the end. Rest now in God's peace. Sleep in His presence. And trust His perfect plan. Good night.